Leads are expensive, Kyle. We know that. We know it's very expensive to get clients, but there's one way that we can get clients that doesn't cost us a lot of money and helps us work with people we already like and kind of relate to already, and that's referrals. And so today I want to talk about how do we utilize our skills before the transaction, during the transaction, after the transaction, to build such a relationship with our client that we create raving fans that refer us business over and over and over again.
Cool. Yeah, one of the things that I'm this saying that I've really become a big fan of is that the first transaction you do with somebody will always be the least profitable transaction you do with them. Every subsequent transaction that you do with them and every referral that you receive from them will be your most profitable transactions that you do. So yeah, I'm excited to dive into the most profitable transactions we do today.
I love that.
Yeah, so it should be fun. Cool, welcome to the Whissel Way podcast. My name is Kyle Whissel, your host with Whissel Realty Group and eXp Realty here in San Diego.
I'm Bryan Koci.
The goal of the show is to give you the tools, techniques, and tactics to go out there and crush it in your business. Whether that be mortgage, real estate, or whatever business you're in, the way that we like to do that is to answer the questions that you have for us. So if you ever have a question you want to have us answer on the show, you can always go to thewhisselway.com. You can ask us questions on there, subscribe to the podcast and YouTube channel. You can join our private Facebook group and email newsletter. We share some tips and tricks. And if you want to level up your content creation game, I'm talking audio, video, social, the whole nine. You can also get dialed in with our Media Mayor Mastermind course and Mastermind that attaches to that. All that stuff's available at thewhisselway.com. Let's go.
So when we do a deal, when do we start talking about referrals? I know a lot of agents will go at the end of the transaction, oh, by the way, if you know anyone looking to buy or sell, let me know. But that's usually too late. Is that right?
Yeah, there's different schools of thought on do you need to be asking for referrals, or do you just do a good job and you get referrals? There's a lot of in-betweens on there. One of my buddies, Voltaire Lepe, he's here in San Diego. His business is almost all based off referrals. He makes it very clear to people hey, if I do an amazing job for you, Bryan, can I count on you to connect me with at least 2 friends or family that are looking to buy or sell in the next year? He'll actually hold them to it. He'll put that out there in advance. Hey, if I do an amazing job, the if I would you, that's a very strong sales strategy. He'll put that out there. He's not afraid to do that. And I dig that.
I love that. Now he should sue them if they don't within 12 months. He should sue them.
Writing, right? And then there's other people that are they're hot and heavy. Hey, my business is built on referrals, and they're very forward with it. And then there's the other end of the spectrum where they just don't talk about it. They just hope that it's going to happen. So, where's the right answer? I don't know. I think maybe it's a little bit different for everybody. I don't know if saying nothing is the right answer. And I don't know if shoving it down somebody's throat is the right answer. So I think falling somewhere in between, yes, you need to put it on their radar. You can't be quiet about it. But at the same time, I don't think you need to shove it down their throat. So I'm kind of the mindset that we meet in the middle with this. So am I talking about referrals at the first appointment? I kind of am, right? Now again, I'm not shoving down their throat, but I'm very confident. I'm going to do such an amazing job as we go through this process. And I talk about, a lot of the things that we say internally, if there's at any point you ever have to call me, text me, and ask me what's going on, I'm not doing my job. We pride ourselves on our communication, want to make sure you always know exactly where you're at, as well as what's coming up next. And by the time this is done, you're going to have, had such an amazing experience that you're going to want to refer your friends and family. So that's my mindset on it, is I want to start planting the seeds without shoving it down their throat. So that's kind of my mindset, but I don't see any problem talking about it at the first appointment. If it's done in the right way.
So do you talk about it then and then shut up?
How do you can have some reinforcements. And just when we're going for reviews, I think hitting people at those high points is important. Because let's be honest, right? We've talked about this when it comes to reviews, is in a perfect world, every transaction goes smooth. In the real world, very few of them go smooth. And additionally, in the real world, a lot of times the bumpiness that happens in a transaction isn't even your fault, yet you get blamed for it. Hell, I'm in a bumpy ass transaction personally right now very bumpy. Attorneys, the whole, we're lawyering up and all this. It's awful. And the whole freaking thing is because somehow we're requesting tax transcripts to verify that what's on my tax returns is what my actual income is. And they keep sending in the transcript request and it's coming back, no transcript found. And it turns out that it's just some stupid clerical error with the IRS that the suite number for the entity they're pulling this on, it's suite 310 and somehow the 3 got dropped off. It's just suite 10. And it's causing all kinds of freaking turmoil. Like this transaction should have closed last week and it's not closed on time. And it's because of this stupid, like one number got dropped off the suite and the tax transcripts are causing a problem. Like, so that's the thing.
That's an
is
easy
like,
solution. Just buy suite 10 and call it over.
So that's the thing is like, so many times you go through a transaction, it gets bumpy, it's so outside of your control, yet you get blamed for it, which is why I think it is important to try to get referrals before all that happens, because the reality of it is a lot of your transactions aren't going to go smooth. So why should we wait till it's done and hope that we had a smooth transaction? Why not ask for something early, right? Why not like plant the seed at the first appointment that you're going to do such an amazing job, you're going to want to refer your friends and family to me. And then once you get the offer accepted, you get them real excited, like, hey, we got you guys locked up here. I'm so excited to be working with you. I know I mentioned that we're going to work hard and do an amazing job for you. I wanted to find out, who else do you know is looking to make a move, right? At that point, like at that high point of offer acceptance, like before it gets really busy, before it gets crazy, before a fucking tax transcripts like throws your transaction for a loop, like why not ask early? So we've talked about former employee here who had a saying, closed mouths don't get fed. So let's say something, just do it in a tasteful manner.
This guy tried to eat my egg salad out of the fridge. He said, whoever's egg salad's been in there for a week, I'm gonna eat it for lunch. I said 2 things. 1, I brought it in this morning, it's mine. 2, who's eating egg salad that's been in a company fridge for a week? That's disgusting. Anyways, he got fed, but not by me. Okay, so first appointment, offer accepted. When are some other, now, not to say we have to do this every time, but when are the good times to do it?
Yeah, the other high points in most transactions is offer acceptance, obviously, is number 1. Here in California, we call it contingency removal. Some states call it your due diligence, whatever, your inspection periods. Like whenever all those things are like removed and it's like, all right, this deal's happening. Because here in California, once somebody's done their loans, their inspection, their appraisal, all that stuff is clear. They remove their contingencies, their deposit becomes non-refundable at that point. So that's kind of a high point, right? Like that's basically like this thing's gonna go through, right? We've done like 5,000 transactions. I've had 2 ever fall out past that point. So, right, mathematically, it's a fraction of a fraction that deals fall through. So that's a high point in the transaction, right? It's like, all right, this is happening. Like we're good to go. Everybody's moving forward. Deposit's non-refundable. Let's get this thing done. So that to me is a high point. Now the reviews and the referrals, I think they deviate a little bit because a lot of times people go for the review right when the transaction closes, and I don't think that's the right time to go for a review because it takes time to write a review. So if any of you have moved in the last couple of years, you know that moving process sucks. I don't care if you moved yourself, if you hired movers, if you hired packers, if you hired organizers, designers, like it still sucks no matter what. Asking somebody to sit down and write a heartfelt review when their life is chaos, it's not the right time. But asking somebody, hey, who else do you know, right? Who should I be talking to? Who have you talked to, in the last few weeks that's thinking about moving? Like that's okay, because all it is like just a simple text introduction. So I'm okay with asking again right at the close because I think that's a high point. So I had a close last week with a good friend of mine, obviously mentioned that there, and then talked about where we're gonna go next with this is I'm throwing him a housewarming party. Like to me, the housewarming party is the best way to generate referrals. Like I don't know if there's a much better way to generate referrals. So I talked to him, and I'm a big fan of throwing clients housewarming parties. And so he has kids. And so we typically offer people like 3 different types of housewarming parties. Do you want like a wine and cheese kind of thing, just like an adult type party? Do you want like if something with the kids, we'll get a bounce house, we'll get some pizza. Or he's got a birthday coming up, and he likes fights and he likes poker. And I was like, well, dude, let's throw a housewarming party. We'll have the boys over, watch some fights. We'll play some poker.
Oh, I thought you were whoever lost at poker had to fight. That would be way more fun.
That could be fun. That could be entertaining.
I'm not playing poker.
We're gonna throw a housewarming party, and it's gonna be like a fight night, poker night. But now here's the beautiful thing is like, I'm going to help put the event together, right? You just tell the client very simple, like, hey, you guys are moving. Like, I know you got a lot on your plates. So I'll take care of everything. Just send me the list of who you guys want to invite. I'll take care of inviting. I'll make sure they have all the details. I'll do the follow-up. Like, I'll coordinate all of it. You guys just move in and just have the house ready. Now, I'm big on setting a date, right? Because if you tell people you're going to throw them a housewarming party, like, okay, well, yeah, once we get settled in, they're never settled. I mean, how long have you been in your house?
5 years.
Are you settled in yet?
No.
Okay. I've been in my house 3 years. Am I settled in yet? No. Nobody's ever settled in. So don't wait for people to settle in and then try to plan a party. Same thing, we've talked about a lot of other things before, like knocking on a door to invite somebody to an open house. Do you want to knock on the door and then invite them to the open house and hope they're going to show up to the open house when you already are talking to them face to face? No. Why do I want to wait till somebody's like settled to plan a party? Like, let's just plan it now. And I usually try to aim for like 30 days out. So we actually picked a date. It's in November. Like, we nailed down the date right there at closing, right? It's just over 30 days out from when we closed, but at least we have a date. And now the client will appreciate the fact that you pinned them down to a date because it actually forces them to, quote unquote, settle in a little bit sooner, or at least settle in by that date to make the house, presentable because they're going to have their friends and their family over. So.
Or at least hide all the boxes upstairs.
Yeah, they're going to at least make downstairs presentable. So I'm a huge fan of doing a housewarming party for clients. And then where does the mind go? Like, oh, well, how much is this going to cost? Who the fuck cares? Like, seriously, who the fuck cares? Like, what's the value of a closing to you? Would you spend $100 to get a closing? Yeah. Would you spend $1,000 to get a closing? Yeah. Hell, depending on your price point, you might spend $10,000 to get a closing. It's $1.5 million house they bought. Like, will you spend $1,000 to throw somebody a party if it could lead you to $1.5 million closing? Hell yeah. Anybody who says no is an idiot. So if it costs you $1,000, cool. But now here's the deal. He worked with one of my preferred lenders. So guess what? My preferred lender is going to come in. They're going to kick in half the cost on this, and they're going to be there as well. They get it. They understand the game. So whatever the cost is, which we're doing like pizza and beer. Now, we'll do like a nice bottle of whiskey or something. Guys a lot of times like to enjoy some whiskey. So
is that
we'll do something
like
nice.
Pabst Blue Ribbon? Do they make a whiskeys?
Close, Pappy. Pabst, Pappy. No, close. You're close, Brian. So we'll do something really nice, right, and elevate the experience. So it's like a normal guy's night, but we'll level it up a little bit and make it special. But doing that right now, I'm gonna get contact info for all of his friends. I'm gonna be the one who like sets the party up, so they're gonna like see me as the resource. Then we show up to the party, and guess what? Right? His name's John. John's gonna be like, "Oh, this is Kyle. He's my realtor. He's awesome." Da, da, da. Like, I don't have to do anything. Like, I set the party up, I show up, and he opens up the conversations for me, and then I do what I do. Right? You find me a better way to generate hot leads. Like, I don't know of anything better.
I love that. That we spent a lot more time on that than I was expecting, but I'm really glad we did because I think that's super valuable there. I had a couple questions that may not work for the housewarming party, but what we were talking about earlier, first appointment, offer accepted, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
When you want someone to refer you, how do you ask for them to refer you? Do you say, hey, give me their name and number? Do you say, send me an email, shoot me their V card? What do you like is the preferred way for you? And maybe this is good for everyone, or maybe this is just how you work.
I'll tell you what you don't do. So if you have a friend, a past client, whatever, that says like, oh yeah, my friend Sally's looking to buy a house. Don't say, oh cool, can you give her my number? Like, don't do that. That is exactly what you do not do. What you want to do if she says, oh yeah, my friend Sally's looking to buy a house. Oh, that's awesome. Can you connect us via a text message? And that's it. I just want to get connected. And then they'll send a text message. As soon as they do, I will record a video and I'll just say, hey, it's Kyle at Whissel. Just want to have shoot you a video so you have a face to put with a name. I'm super excited for an opportunity to meet. I'll start a new thread for us just so we can leave John out of this so he doesn't have to see a bunch of text messages. But super excited to meet with you. Just wanted you to have a name to put with a face. And then boom, and then I'll text them directly. So what that does is a couple things there. One, I do that as fast as humanly possible. So in this scenario, we're going with John as the person referring and Sally the one being referred. I want John to see that like I'm attentive to it, that I'm not like taking it for granted and I'm jumping on it right away. And then obviously Sally sees that I'm responsive and I'm, communicating in a unique way by sending a video, which is not customary. And then I'll direct text her from that point moving forward. But having them introduce you, so whether that's via an email, a DM, text message, but I want the referrer and the referee to be in a three-way communication. The last thing you want to do is wait on somebody to introduce you. And quite honestly, I would rather, even if John was like, oh, well, here's Sally's number, give her a call, I still would rather John introduce me to Sally because he's going to advocate for me, right? And it might even help too, because he might say, hey, Sally, I wanted to introduce Kyle. He's the guy I was telling you about, right? So it'll give some context to the conversation as well. But I'm all about just getting into a three-way. Yeah. Just got back from Vegas too, Brian.
I want to cut that part right there.
They just had a video come out from the NFL of all these little clips where you could cut them out and just sounded terrible.
I love that. Yeah. Just ruin people's lives. Okay, now let's keep with John and Sally. John sends you this, you work with Sally, you do a great job. How, when, what do you do to reward John?
Yeah, so there's one that I've been using, and I'm open. If you're watching this, maybe you have something that you really like. Throw it in the comments section. I'm actually open to ideas. The one I've been using is called EvaBot, EvaBot, EvaBot.ai. This was the first AI website I think I remember using, before AI became cool. So what this will do is it will engage with the person. So I just send a text message to EvaBot and I just say, send a gift to John and here's his phone number. And then EvaBot will take that information and it'll reach out to John and I'll give John a heads up, say, hey, my assistant's gonna reach out. We have a little something for you. So then EvaBot reaches out and then it actually asks John a few questions and then it curates a gift based on John's responses and sends it to him automatically in a really nice little package and stuff. And it's I think you can set your price points, but it's probably $50, $100. But it's just an easy way. I like it for me because I just don't have time. So the fact that I can just with one text message, as soon as John makes the intro, I'm sending the video to Sally, then I'm DMing Sally, and then I'm having Ava send the gift over to John, boom, boom, boom. Because if I don't send something in the moment, I'm not gonna send it at all. And if I have to think about what to send, that's just gonna cause me to be delayed more. So the fact that I can have something go out to John instantaneous, as close to instantaneously as possible, I think that's effective.
Now, in this scenario, you help John buy or sell. Yeah. But if there's a scenario, say a friend referred you, but they've never used you, and you can still use EvaBot, would you also add them to Client Giant? We're huge fans of Client Giant. And the reason why I said if they haven't bought or sold with you, because I know you add all of your clients that buy or sell with you to Client Giant. Yeah. So that's done anyways.
Yeah, we're getting ahead of it, but yeah, that's another way to generate referrals is with that. So let's assume, it's fine. So one thing we'll just Brian mentioned this, but anytime I have somebody who buys or sells a home with me, we work with a company called Client Giant, and they have a couple different levels. I think it starts around $100 a year. They have an elevated one as well. But for $100 a year, they have 4 gifts go out. And they're curated quarterly, and they're thoughtful gifts. They're well-timed. The summer one was a really cool dry bag, which is nice to have, right? If you're going out to the beach, you're going boating, whatever. So it curates 4 gifts a year that go out to the clients. So in this scenario, John, client, is already on Client Giant because this is his second home that he's purchased with me. So he's already on the system. But let's assume John had never worked with me before. Would I send Ava a gift and Client Giant? I've not done that in the past, but that's probably a good idea.
And I wonder if, I didn't know they had multiple tiers for...
Yeah, they do an elevated one now too.
I wonder if your A clients, your best clients, whatever, your top 10%, I know they're called different things, it might make sense to add them to the elevated. So maybe they've been on Client Giant for 3 years, but now they referred you a client. You can't add them again, but you can elevate their experience. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, Client Giant is another big thing that helps us stay top of mind for people because I just want to be the first person they think of when they're thinking about either transacting again Or when they hear somebody mention real estate, I want them to think of me. And so if I've given them a gift recently, right, I'm a big fan of, Gary Vee, jab, 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 right hook. Like I just gave them a gift and now they're at a party and somebody mentions real estate. I want to anchor in the fact that like, oh, I just got this really cool dry bag from Kyle. Oh yeah, I should probably tell them about Kyle, or I should have Kyle give them a call, that kind of thing. So it's just one of the many ways that we try to make sure we're top of mind, because that's all it is. I mean, how do you, nurture a lead is like you just make sure you're top of mind, because when they're ready to actually pull the trigger and buy or sell, whoever's top of mind is going to get that phone call more often than not.
Okay, so now we know how to do it through the process.
Yeah.
You're listening to this right now, you're like, got it. Moving here forward, I'm gonna ask, closed mouths don't get fed, I'm gonna ask when it makes sense, the first appointment, offer accepted, contingency removal, during the housewarming party.
Yeah. Oh, and just do a great fucking job. Like that matters too. Like you're not gonna get referred if you do a shitty job. So like do a great job. One of the things that I'm big on is a lot of times new agents, they complain like, oh, I don't have a lot of clients, blah, blah, blah. Shut up, bitch. You have an advantage, right? Like it's half glass full, half glass empty. The fact that you're new, that you only have one client that you're working with, huge advantage for you, right? Because my top agents, they have 10, 15 clients that they're under contract with at one time. That's really hard to make all 10 of them feel special, like they're the only client. For you, you only have one client. It's really easy to make them feel like the only client. So build that habit early by making every client feel like you're your only client, and then just carry that on as long as you possibly can. And just do a great job with people. That's gonna make you more referable.
Okay, well, you interrupted me.
I know I did. Sorry.
So,
I had to hit it so I didn't forget.
I'm not gonna, that's
You
why
got
my
a notepad, I don't.
So, okay, you already asked for the referral. Moving forward, you're doing this, you're gonna be perfect at it. But
We're gonna be perfect. Just be the best version of you.
okay, whatever. But looking back, you go, okay, but I didn't ask for referrals in the past. What advice would you give to someone that has done 1 deal, 5 deals, 100 deals, that's never asked for a referral, that has low referral, that's not a great pillar of their business? What do they send a mass email to everyone that they worked with, everyone that's closed, hey, send me a referral? Do they do a mailer? Do they do a party? How do you ask for a referral after the fact that could be 2 years, 5 years, 10 years later?
Yeah, I want to start doing this for our parties. We do 4 client events a year. And I want to add the question in there, hey, who do you know who's looking to buy or sell a home in the next 12 months? Like I want to add that into our RSVP form. So name, phone, email, who's your agent, and who do you know who's looking to buy or sell? Just asking the damn question. And even if they don't have somebody at that time, you're at least putting that thought in their head that like, oh yeah, I should probably tell Kyle next time I know somebody who's looking to buy or sell. So I'd like to, hell, the worst thing that happens is nobody answers it. But if, how many people did we have at our most recent event?
A couple hundred.
Okay, we have a couple hundred people. If just 1 out of 100 said yes and we got 2 transactions out of it, that's amazing, right? So you could easily do it. Like next time you're doing an event, just throw that question in there. Or what we could do too is we give out like raffle tickets when people attend our events and they write a review about us or they make a donation to Feeding San Diego. You could even say like, oh, if you have somebody who's looking to buy or sell, like you can get more raffle tickets. Like there's ways you could play with it, but I think simply just asking the question, but that's a great time to ask is like when you're inviting them to a party and you're throwing a free party that they get to come to, just like, hey, who do you know?
And I don't care for the raffle one. I get the idea, but I feel like that's just, now people are writing names and you're going to cold call them. I like the...
Well, what I would do is if they gave me a name, then I would reach out and just be like, hey, John, I saw your friend Sally's looking to make a move. Can you introduce us, right? And then I would do what we talked about.
Yep, that's where I was going with this. Again, you interrupted me. So... Okay, now the next part is... Go ahead. I don't have a next part. I think that covers it for me. I was waiting for you to interrupt me again.
Awesome. Well, hopefully this is helpful, guys. If it is, if you are watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up button, let YouTube know you're enjoying the content. If you have a question, throw it in the comment section. Brian and I will personally respond to all the comments and questions that get posted in there. If you want more of our content, hit the subscribe button, the little notification bell. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, obviously subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And if you could take a quick minute to write a review, maybe your biggest takeaway from today's episode of the podcast, those reviews mean the world to us. They really, really help a lot. So if you could write a review, we would greatly appreciate it. Before we wrap up the show today, we want to share something with you that we call the Whissel Widget of the Week. That's something we utilize in our business. It saves us time, makes us more money, or just helps us have a little bit more fun. What do you got for us, Bryan?
I got show and tell today. So we all know that half of a good video is the audio, right? And I remember back in the day, probably 7, 8 years ago, I was trying to get good audio on my phone, and I had to use a microphone and a cable and an adapter and another adapter and this whole contraption, and it was a pain in the ass, and it was expensive, and it was ungainly. It was a pain in the ass. I hated it. Recently, we bought these DJI mics. DJI, you may know them from the drones, you may know them from the gimbals. They do a lot of camera stuff. They're kind of like the Samsung of the camera world now, where they make washer and dryers and TVs and shoes, probably, you would know. But they make these microphones, and they're so simple and so good. I used them for the first time at a listing I photographed. And literally, I clipped this little mic on the agent. I took this little receiver and clipped this thing in and plugged it into my phone, so it just lived there. And I told Jen, who was the agent, I said, hey, after we do it, let's just do a small part. I want to test it to make sure it sounds good. It sounded amazing. I was shocked. I think these are like $300. But the ease of getting them on your phone, you can also use with your cameras. These are probably one of my favorite mics right now, and I have a lot of them. But these are really, really good. So DJI, I think they're just the DJI Mic 2 or something.
Yeah, so they got this V2.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I love them.
Okay. Mine, if you have an iPhone, you haven't updated it yet, you need to update it. Lots of cool new features. So far, my favorite feature of iOS 18 is texting with send later. Something that I've wanted for so long. I actually think my widget of the week a few years ago was an app that we used to do this, which was it was wonky. It was a pain in the butt. Now they have a send later feature. It's built in natively to the Messages app. So if you need to send a text later, you just hit the little plus button, hit send later, and you can schedule a text message for specific date, specific time. It's fantastic. So if you're somebody like me who gets up early, or you're somebody that's the opposite of me and you stay up really late, and you don't want to text somebody at 5 in the morning, whether you are just going to bed at 5 in the morning or just waking up. You want that to go out at like 9 o'clock, you can schedule that. So using the send later feature in iOS 18 is absolute game changer. With that said, guys, I hope you got a lot of value out of the show today. If you want to stay connected with Bryan and I, you can follow us on Instagram. Keep it simple, at Kyle Whissel, at Bryan Koci. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Whissel Way podcast. We'll see you next time.
See ya.